Today we have to talk about one of the absolute most insane stories to occur in the content space, in the censorship space, in the last couple of years. What we actually saw was a company, AirBNB in this instance, escalate the level of online censorship to levels that not even the left wing was prepared for when they decided to stalk Lauren Southern, find out who her parents were, realize that they made a booking through Airbnb, and then ban her parents from going on their holiday trip, from staying with Airbnb, just because they committed the crime of giving birth and raising somebody who is guilty of wrongthink. This is an absolutely serious story. There's a reason that Tucker Carlson took it up, and honestly, it should actually be getting a lot more attention than it is right now, and it's getting a lot of attention because it's that outrageous. Now, before we get into this video of mine is in fact sponsored, so quickly, I'm going to toss it to the sponsor, then we'll come back over here and discuss this whole thing on the other side. Low levels of collagen show up in more ways than one. Obviously, you're familiar with wrinkles and sagging skin, but did you know your collagen levels actually impact whether your nails are strong or brittle, or whether your hair has a nice shine or it's thin and also brittle? Well, the thing is, if you have low collagen, I have a solution for you. If you go over to healthwithjustice.com, you can get this amazing collagen powder. It has 5 different types of collagen to help you set what's right and restore that youthful glow, strengthen your hair, strengthen your nails, and all of that. But guess what? This month, you can get it for 51% off with the bonus of some lifestyle coaching over at healthwithjustice.com. This is one of our best sales, and you get the coaching, the free perks, and all that, all by clicking the link in the top of the description box or in the pinned comment. That's healthwithjustice.com. So the other day, I go over to twitter.com/let me find something that's going to make me angry for today so that I can make a video about it, and I discovered this tweet from Lauren Southern alleging that her parents were banned after booking a reservation through Airbnb due to the fact that they were associated with her, i.e. being her parents. Let's go to the post so you can see that this is 100% legit. From Lauren Southern: my parents just got banned from Airbnb for being related to me. They have never booked anything for me. They do not represent me in any way. They aren't publicly political in any way. How is this sane in any way? At Airbnb. And the note from Airbnb that she shared a screenshot to says, "Hi, redacted. We have an update to share. We removed you from the Airbnb platform because your account is closely associated with a person who isn't allowed to use Airbnb. This means you will no longer be able to book reservations through Airbnb. Why we made this decision? For the safety of our community, we may remove accounts that are closely associated with people who aren't allowed to use Airbnb. Any future reservations have been canceled and fully refunded. Refund timing will depend on processing times for your payment method." And then there are instructions on how to appeal, but it is very important that you know at this point in the story that Lauren Southern's parents did not in fact appeal this decision. Now, this obviously went viral because Lauren Southern's a popular figure, but more importantly, this is so outrageous, this is so crazy, the censorship is gotten to such a new level that this just grabs so many people's attention, because what they're essentially saying is that they banned Lauren Southern. And by the way, Airbnb actually has no good explanation for why they banned Lauren Southern. They said association with the hate group. However, when pressed for the name of the hate group that she's associated with, the PR person at Airbnb told the reporter to use Google because he's smart enough to use Google, because of course they never know the name of this alleged hate group that Lauren Southern is allegedly associated with. But sure, fine, maybe you want to say, alright, you know what, Lauren Southern used to stay at Airbnbs with her film crew, so they don't want to help her filming, even though Airbnb is just supposed to connect you to people that want to rent out their places, and as long as the person's okay with it and the customer's okay with it, there should be no problem. But let's set that aside for a second. Therefore, Airbnb needs to take a stance and not let her help her with her documentaries in this manner. Then fine. I mean, it's not fine. Airbnb used to be one of these cool, hip sharing economy corporations that worked to be successful by getting around government regulations around hotels and lodging and connecting individuals who wanted to rent their properties with individuals who didn't want to stay in a traditional hotel, and now they're just backing up the government and censoring reporters. But even if you agree that that is somehow not a big deal and Airbnb can ban Lauren Southern, that's one thing. Now, if Lauren Southern had somebody like an agent or whatever who was booking Airbnbs after the fact on her behalf, and then Airbnb's investigative team ended up finding out that this was happening and they banned that person, okay, you can understand it. If you're trying to ban one individual, having them through a corporation or through a third party book reservations, okay, I get that. But here's the thing, none of those things were true. The only association that Lauren Southern's parents have with her is not with her business, is not with her documentaries, is not with anything like that. It is the fact that they are her parents. Essentially, she is being punished, or her parents are being punished, for the crime of being a blood relative of somebody who has political opinions that Airbnb does not like. This is ridiculous. This is absurd. And when you think about the implications of this, it's absolutely staggering. This basically means that any content creator, if they get banned from any social media platform, any payment processor, they get debanked, they get booted off of Uber, Airbnb. Trust me, if you're not aware, content creators have been banned from all of these different platforms and services, now has to worry about all of their blood relatives being banned for the association for them. So imagine you're somebody who's speaking your mind about politics on the internet, and your brother or relative or wife or whatever works in some kind of institution and they're heavily reliant on banking, getting loans. If you get debanked, then all of a sudden that person is at risk of being debanked. Think about somebody who's on a farm who has to get a line of credit from the bank each and every year and pay it off once they get the harvest. That person is at risk if they happen to have a blood relative that gets in trouble for saying the wrong thing about immigration. Now, I talked about on my channel how the mafia even had rules initially about not going after the family. I compared this to what they do in North Korea. If you don't know, if somebody escapes in your bloodline in North Korea, any or all members of your family within your bloodline going to multiple generations can be put in a work camp. Well, Airbnb saw that human rights violation and thought, how can we implement that with our service? Let's attach it to people who do wrong thing and just roll with it. And what's wild about this is that Airbnb does not appear to have similar rules for convicted felons, meaning if you actually murdered somebody, served your time, got out, decided you wanted an Airbnb, then you'd be totally fine. Or if you're visiting somebody who murdered someone, you're close enough to visit them, Airbnb won't prevent you from doing a booking if you happen to live too far away from their jail, which, by the way, you might think is unlikely, but a lot of people live way too far away from the state penitentiary or federal penitentiary in order to visit their relatives. Now, you might be thinking I'm over-exaggerating about how Airbnb would let murderers stay in your place, but you are in fact wrong, because according to their help center page, they only ban you for committing a crime from Airbnb if that crime also violates their policies, and they have examples of crimes. But what's very interesting is that their primary examples are sexual violence and exploitation, makes sense. Human trafficking, makes sense. You don't want to rent out to people who human traffic. Hate crimes, and terrorism. They don't have a murderer listed on this. And by the way, you can actually appeal this. They will consider factors correlated with the reduced risk of future criminal conduct, such as employment, and other factors that show evidence of rehabilitation and desistance. Our nuanced, personalized approach is based on extensive research, including time to redemption studies and other literature identifying individual factors associated with reduced risk. They also factor in your age at the time of your conviction, your number of prior convictions, and the time since your last conviction. So Airbnb doesn't auto-ban murderers, and even if you do get banned because you commit one of these serious crimes, don't worry, they're going to consult the time to redemption studies to allow you in. But political speech, anti-immigration, associated or affiliated with a hate group they can't even name, you're banned and your family's banned. Look, this is really scary for me personally as well. I'm trying to get married soon. I want to have children. Lauren is already a mother. Does Lauren have to worry about her child being banned from all these services that she's banned from due to the fact that now these companies are deciding to go after blood relatives? If I do something wrong, will my wife get debanked even if she has no connection with the business? Will my child have to suffer the consequences for this? Is it going to be the way forward in America that all of your bloodline are going to be denied goods and services based on the fact that people don't like your political speech. And I know Lauren's in Canada, but is that the way forward for the Western world as well? Look, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, and all of that. And one of the things that the Mad King, by the way, who's known as the Mad King, is the most notable as being an evil bad guy for, is doing this exact same thing. There's this whole thing about the Defiance of Duskendale, where he decides to go after every single blood relative and kill them that is related to the person that held him hostage. The whole thing with the rebellion is based on the idea that he wanted to wipe out the Starks and the Baratheons based on the action of one of the Starks. So we have all these examples in our pop culture, some of our most popular media, of people being denoted as mad for going after members of the family, and Airbnb looks at that and they're like, you know what, Mad King, that sounds absolutely great for me, let's start targeting people's family. On top of that, and this is incredibly crucial, I have no idea who Lauren Southern's parents are. I'm sure most of you have no idea who Lauren Southern's parents are, but apparently people at Airbnb, when you get banned from their platform, decide to stalk you, look into you deeply, figure out who your blood relatives are, and then ban those blood relatives from all these various different platforms in order to show you what's really good. I mean, just think about that. Most of you didn't know when I mentioned it on the channel that the YouTuber Reactor, aka Chris Poole, is Tim Pool's brother, aka the guy behind Timcast. When I mentioned that randomly in a video, people were shocked in the comments. Well, Airbnb not only knows Tim Pool's public brother that's been on his show multiple different times in all these different ways, but they also probably know everybody who's ever been associated with Tim Pool, so that way, if they decide to ban him, guess what? They can ban all of those people as well. It is insane that they're digging into this woman. Likely, this means that people at Airbnb are actually well aware of who Lauren Southern's entire family is, who her husband is, who her child is, and they might want to take action if they have not already taken action. Maybe they pulled back after the negative attention associated with their parents against all of these various figures. And if Airbnb knows it, if they're getting this information, then other social media companies likely have this at the same time. They likely know who these people are that are on their platforms in a far more intimate way than even some of the creepiest stalkers do. Now look, after this story came out, the producer from Tucker Carlson essentially said that you have until 5 p.m. the next day to give a statement on this decision, otherwise basically they're going to have Lauren Southern on Tucker Carlson's show. Now Airbnb did back off about this, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Lauren Southern did appear on Tucker Carlson to talk about this, and there's some key parts in there that I want to show you because I think they're absolutely crucial.
So, I mean, what kind of world is it where not just the thought criminal, but the thought criminal's family is banned from spending the night? What is that?
There's definitely been a Pandora's box opened in the culture war. I think progressives have realized with the laws we have in place defending civil liberties, they can't quite bring a social credit system in yet, so they found a way to circumvent it through the corporate class. They can just impose a social credit system on us using big tech.
I'm really happy for Lauren that she got on Tucker Carlson. She deserves it. She's been on the grind for a long time. And as somebody who's gotten to know her a little bit personally, I like her as a person. However, these circumstances are absolutely troubling, and what she said right there is just 100% dead on accurate. This is a really scary time. This is something that a lot of people should be concerned about. This is something that she not only has to worry about with her parents now, but all people who have been associated or affiliated with her, because Airbnb essentially banned Lauren Southern for association with the hate group, and then they claim that they can ban anybody connected to her in association with the group. Now, Lauren mentions one key thing that I want to highlight. I'm going to play the clip of her and then we'll talk about it.
And what was funny is when they reversed the decision, they claimed in an email to my parents that they had reviewed their appeal. My parents never appealed the decision. So they're attempting to create this phony narrative that it was all a mistake. How do you mistakenly track down an activist's family, mistakenly send them a specific email saying it is because of their relation to me? It makes no sense. They're trying to cover up something nefarious here. And the only reason they aren't continuing to do this to me is because I have a platform and they're testing the waters. If they got away with it this time, they would have kept going, but they miscalculated how woke their market is.
So Airbnb did in fact reverse their decision. Also, Lauren Southern figured out how to use dark mode in association with the apps, or maybe she got her parents to figure out how to use dark mode. However, when they sent this email, as she said right there, and we'll read the whole thing in full, they made it seem like her parents filed an appeal so that you can think that the system totally worked. Hi, redacted. We reviewed your appeal and made the decision to restore your account. We're sorry for the inconvenience this caused, and we appreciate your willingness to work through this together. You can log back in anytime to book reservations as usual. Thanks for being a part of the Airbnb community. Best Airbnb team. Now, as Lauren pointed out, and she stated on Twitter, they never appealed the decision. They did not file the appeal. This email, this auto-generated thing, is just Airbnb's way of running cover to, again, tell you or make you feel better like the system totally worked. Somebody just bungled it. They just decided to say that Lauren Southern's parents, who are not public figures, were banned for being related to her as her parents by accident. And she was the only one, and it was 3 to 4 years after she was banned from the service, and they specifically, even when they're pressed later on why Lauren's banned, defend that ban. But no, it's okay. The system totally worked, because look, there's an appeal email that never was filed, and it says, oh, thank you for being a part of the community. It's you and us, Lauren Southern's parents, Airbnb, and the parents of Lauren Southern. They're basically like her godfather, so thank you so much for everything that you do. We love you. We're on board. As you can tell, I am insanely skeptical, and I'm quite curious on whether or not this has happened to other people who are less prominent, who weren't able to get the word out, because obviously what happened here is that Airbnb jumped the gun to what we're going to be experiencing in the future, which is censorship and deplatforming and banning you basically from the online economy, or most of the economy, based on the political views of your family. This was described by Lauren as the social credit system, and while I get the social credit system comparison because, China, communism, look at that, authoritarian dictatorship, what I think is actually happening here is that wokeada, the religious extremists of the woke, are creating dhimmis, second-class citizens that are more or less allowed to function in everyday society, but every once in a while, you realize that according to the rules, you are second-class citizens, so you're not going to necessarily be harmed unless you go too far out of line criticizing their religion. You're going to be allowed to function, but every once in a while, you're going to be cut off from things that are for the preferred religious class, the class of the woke. I mean, because if you think about it, what the social credit system is a lot about is disturbing the peace, spitting on the street, bad manners, and all manner of things like that. But what the dhimmi system is about is having a different belief system and you being delegated to a second-class citizen. So because they're the parents of somebody who's not associated with the main faith, they also get the second-class citizen treatment by association, because how dare you not bow down to wokeada. Also, don't think that I didn't notice the fact that Tucker Carlson chose for his graphic to introduce the segment and his lower third the North Korea comparison that I made on Twitter. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying clearly and obviously Tucker Carlson's production team gets all their inspiration from me, which makes me basically the man behind Tucker Carlson, because no way two people could have thought of this coincidentally. Now look, I said everything I wanted to say about this at this point, but I am glad to see at least a little bit that this was a bridge too far for some people. However, eventually this is going to be the new normal when they do it to somebody who doesn't have as large of a platform as Lauren, that's not going to get as much attention. They will set the precedent, and that will be the rules going forward. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social medias, support me via the support links in the description box of this video. This has been me talking about Lauren's parents getting banned for wrongthink on Lauren's behalf. Till next time.